I first became aware of elder abuse when we were with a friend, and he's a contractor. His mother was elderly. He had two sisters-in-law, one interstate and one who visited his mother occasionally. He and his sister-in-law had power of attorney. Local government services were providing shopping, home help, supervision of medications and trips to the bank for his mother. I guess I could call her Edith. One day, Nick got a phone call, and the phone call was from his sister-in-law, but it was from his mother's residence. And he was a little nervous because when his mother had gone into rehabilitation after a medical episode, he'd discovered that his sister-in-law was claiming to be the next of kin. When he arrived, that was adjusted. So when she rang, I followed him round to that place. And sure enough, his sister-in-law was there going through his mother's handbag saying, "I'm just going to pay some bills for her." And she had in fact got access to the codes for her banking. And the reason she'd been rifling through the bag is that she had a significant gambling problem. Nick tried to prevent his sister-in-law from going back, if you like, but the problem was that they were joint power of attorney. His sister-in-law tried to remove Nick from the activity, and she went to VCAT. At the end of that, the state basically took protection of Edith, but they left Nick in charge of her funds. And she wanted to stay in her own home, whereas I guess the state trustee was thinking she's beyond that. But they put in extra services and she was funding those herself, and things went fairly well for a while. But Nick found that some of the people from the service that had been, the commercial service that had been contracted, were not always putting the lockbox back outside. They weren't supervising the medications. And in the end, he thought he'd tried his hardest for his mum, but he would have to put her into care. And that's when he came into contact with Kingston Centre, who were great. They had a couple of facilities, both government residential care facilities, and Edith happily, well, not quite happily immediately, but finally happily set up residence in one of them. So Nick continued to visit, but it meant that his sister-in-law could not visit regularly. And I think in the end, Enid did all right, but it was just watching it. And I suppose for me, when he suddenly got this call and went to his mum's place, I followed him, and I just thought maybe there was something going on. Later, his sister-in-law accused me of being a witness against her. But all of it was just about somebody who had a problem and was trying to solve it with someone else's money. All I really did was put him in touch with the right people, and anybody could do that by just looking in a directory. But the thing that probably helped was just a bit of sensitivity to the issue, that it wasn't just something to look past. And I think the other thing that was important was that it helped Nick step up a bit. His two brothers were deceased, and so he suddenly realised that if he wasn't there acting like the adult, he'd been doing plenty, watching the maintenance on the place and checking on his mum, but all of a sudden he had to become her supervisor, and that changed things a bit. In the situation where somebody is not sure about what to do, if they think it's possibly trivial, I'd still say make the call. Nobody will care that you've made a call by accident, or that things are resolved in a positive sense and that you were mistaken in what you saw. They'd much rather have the contact made. I think If someone is feeling that they are being threatened by a family member or a close contact who is effectively a family member, then they've got to remember that it's their life, their choice and their rights. If they feel that they are being threatened, there are lots of supports out there. I see lots of people I've got a 92-year-old neighbour, she manages her family. She would occasionally talk to me and say, I think they want to put me in care. And I'd just have to say, what do you want to do? It's your life. And that's the point. If you're older and you're feeling threatened, then get some help, but don't necessarily be confined to the people who are in your own family.